Hi everyone, today we're going to look at risk assessment. We're going to look at our main objective, which are the 5 general steps involved in risk assessment. But before we go into our main business, we're also going to define some key definitions. So here with me, I have basically 3 definitions. You basically choose a definition which you feel that you're going to grasp more concept. So the first definition is risk assessment is the overall process or method of hazard identification, risk analysis, risk evaluation, and determining appropriate ways to eliminate the hazards or control the risk when the hazard cannot be eliminated. So that's our first definition. Our second definition is the definition of risk assessment is a careful examination of what in a workplace could possibly cause harm to people so that you can weigh up whether you have taken enough precautions or you should do more preventive measures. Our last definition of terms is risk assessment. This is the overall process of hazard identification, risk analysis, and risk evaluation. We are now going to highlight the 5 key steps which are involved in risk assessment. So generally, risk assessment is mainly composed of 5 steps, and these steps should be followed to ensure that the risk assessment exercise is carried out correctly. So the following are the steps. We have step number 1, you identify the hazard. Step number 2, you decide who might be harmed and how. Step number 3, evaluate the hazards and decide on the control measures. Step number 4, you record your findings and implement them. Step number 5, review assessment and update if necessary. So we're going to begin with step number 1. So step number 1, you identify the hazard. So our main key points here are hazards can be identified by using a number of different techniques, such as walking around the workplace or asking the employees. So this will help you to identify possible hazards within the workplace. Step number 2, you decide who might be harmed and how. So under step number 2, once the hazard has been identified, there is also need to understand who might be harmed and how. Such people working in the warehouses or even members of the general public. Step number 3, evaluate the risks and decide on the control measures. So after identifying the hazards and also deciding who might be harmed, then there is also requirements to protect the people from the harm. So the hazards can either be removed completely or the risks controlled so that the injury is unlikely. Then step number 4, you record the findings. So findings should be written down. So this is a general legal requirement where there are 5 or more employees to do an assessment, and recording has to be done as proof of evidence. So recording shows that the assessor identified the hazards, decided who might be harmed and how, and also shows how the assessor plans to eliminate the risks and hazards. Finally, step number 5, you review your assessment and also update when necessary. So the assessor should never forget that a few workplaces stay the same, and as a result, the risk assessment should be reviewed and updated when required. So a report about the outcome of the assessment is compiled and also availed to the employer. So employees and employees representatives, if possible, the report of the assessment can also be published in the media. So this marks the end of our short presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you very much once more, and thank you for listening and also tuning in. See you next time.